So falling in love again and again.
Falling in
Love
love
again and again.
All right, welcome back to Ads on Air. I'm Alyssa. I'm the president of Ad Club, and today we have a special guest. His name is Joe Glennon. He is a professor here at the media school at IU, and today we're just gonna kind of go through what we kind of wish we knew about advertising when we were freshmen, or even just kind of covering the basics, because I feel like some people may need a little help, and especially like what to do with your time here at IU in the advertising track. But let's just go ahead and introduce everyone who's here today. Take it away, Joe. Do a little intro.
Thank you very much for having me. Joe Glennon. I'm a senior lecturer here at IU. I'm starting my third year. Thrilled to be here. How deep into my background is this bio time, or just hello, everybody? Excited to be here.
Do a little hello.
Bio. I say go
yeah,
for it.
do the bio. Do the bio.
Okay, so I came to IU again. This is my third year, but I was at Temple University in Philadelphia for about 12 or 13 years on the faculty there. But since 1994, I've been an advertising person, copywriter, creative director, and then I just transitioned into teaching over the course of the last, 15 years or so.
Awesome.
I love it. Well, hi guys, I'm Jenny. I am the podcast planner. I am a sophomore, and I'm excited for like a nice educational episode. Like sit back, relax, and listen to our spiel. We're gonna have a good time.
Yes.
I am very excited for this podcast. I think it should be some good words from Joe and just hear about everything there is in advertising. So,
To start off, we're just going to say why are we in advertising? I feel like that's a good question you should know, especially for interviews. So personally, why am I in advertising? I am because I fell in love with the storytelling aspect and being around people who are so creative. I was originally in Kelly, but loved Kelly, but it just wasn't the vibe. I came over the media school, and I just loved everyone over here, and just being able to have creative freedom and really explore how you can tell a story was really enticing to me, and I have absolutely loved it the entire time. So I know I'm in the right spot. So,
Oh yeah.
Gabby, why are you in
Um,
advertising?
well, I like so my minor's in marketing, but still I
Yeah.
really like just seeing maybe advertisements when there's a 1 minute, 30-minute break on my show. I really like just seeing what these companies really come up with and how they want to promote themselves. And I feel like they're very creative sometimes, but also just like to think about the background of why they do it. And I just really like that part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me, I knew that I wanted to go into something media related. I've been very into media since I was very little. Had my YouTube channel, had my Musical.ly, you know what's up.
wow.
And I knew that I wanted to go in something creative and something like that. I fell in love with the media school right away. I actually met Joe pretty early before I even committed, and I just loved the atmosphere of the media school and stuff like that here in advertising. It's just so fun to be creative. And I also like what Gabby said, there's a motive behind all these ads, and it's just so fun, targeting an audience in a creative way. So I can never look at an ad the same way again. I just love looking at it and be like, that's a good ad. And then some of these ads, I'm like, why'd you do that?
My roommates will get tired of me just being like, I know the strategy behind that ad. I'll just be talking at the screen, and they'll be like, usually sometimes they'll want to mute it, and I'm like, guys, nah, I'm studying right now. I'm studying.
Yeah, it's Super Bowl season. That's going to be a fun pod.
Yes, I'm excited for that one. But Joe?
Oh, that's funny you say that, because I do in my intro class, I the first paragraph in the syllabus is an apology, because no student who goes through an ad class will ever see an ad the same way again. And it ruins it for us, and of course we lose friends along the way, because enough with the analysis. I ended up backing into advertising like a lot of people, that it wasn't where I started. In fact, my undergraduate degree is in psychology. And I thought I was going to be, a great psychologist. And then when the school didn't teach me how to hypnotize people, I said, I need something different.
Oh my God, I got hypnotized weird like side pivot at a leadership conference. Oh my gosh.
Did it work?
Yes. It's real.
All right.
Like, it is real. Sorry.
But
Quick pivot.
in no podcast anybody ever wants to hear the phrase "you're getting sleepy." But I knew what I really enjoyed was writing. So I became a advertising copywriter because I wanted to write and I wanted to feed my family. So after some beneath what marginal success as a screenwriter, we moved back to Philadelphia, and there was only advertising being produced. So I said, if I want to write, and I don't want to have the novel in the drawer that never sells, I need to write ads. And that's what happened. So I just became a junior copywriter, and that was 1994. I've been doing it ever since. But what I love about it is it scratches my creative itch, and there's a business sense and reason and rational. And at the end of the day, it's not just art for art's sake. So we love our friends at the art school here, but we create with a purpose in advertising. And that's what really excites me now, especially after a healthy career, is that balance of, you can get excited, you can do something really clever, creative, and expressive, but you're also helping build some brands, and that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I feel like it's more of a challenge because you have to like consider. You can come up with all these ideas, but like when it doesn't fit the brand or the strategy and the budget, like it gets difficult.
Oh, absolutely, right. So the world is full of former ad people who couldn't hack it. Dr. Seuss, F. Scott Fitzgerald,
Dr.
Salmon.
Seuss was trying to be in the ad business?
Oh, he was. Dr. Seuss was actually great at it, and then
okay.
pivoted. But no, he was. But yeah, Scott Fitzgerald and Salman Rushdie. I always joke, these are great men of letters and fantastic creators. But you know what? Advertising's hard because at the end of the day, it's got to fit into 30 seconds, or it's got to fit into somebody's feed, and you got to get the click through, and you got to, there's no way writing Great Gatsby was harder than writing a good ad.
Yeah.
No, it was wicked hard.
Yeah.
Great Gatsby.
Yes, but yeah, so that's why we're in advertising. What do we got on there?
Why are you guys watching this podcast in an ad club? Comment down below.
Do you say why they're watching?
No, like what makes you interested in advertising? That could be a
Yes.
fun poll.
Yes.
Yeah, comment if you're watching this on YouTube or DM us or something. Be like, why are you interested in advertising? We want to hear.
We do want to hear.
I'd love to hear. That'd be great to know.
Yes.
What attracts students to an ad program.
Let's do that. Okay. So the Google definition of advertising is the activity or profession of producing advertising for commercial products or services. That is just the surface level of a million different definitions and little sub-definitions.
I agree. It
But-
was so broad.
Yes. Can I ask you, Joe, how would you explain advertising?
Advertising is any action, activity, or message developed to promote a brand and build a brand. And it used to be a very distinct, like Google has their definition. There's a textbook definition about strategically paid, developed messages by a sponsor. It doesn't matter anymore. It's really, if you have a brand and you want to connect with people through communications and action, and every action is a piece of communication, that's what advertising is.
Yeah.
So to the point where the lines between advertising and PR have never been muddier. The lines between marketing and advertising have never been muddier. We all live under the marketing umbrella,
Yeah.
in the classic 4 Ps. But, we used to stay in our lane for advertising and the promotion, but now advertising agencies are developing products, right?
Yeah.
So, wait, that's a different part of the 4 Ps. That's market. Well, nobody cares.
Yeah.
Get a brand in front of people, develop a bond and an association. That's what advertising is.
Do you think that the definition of advertising has changed over the years, or if it's still like down to its core, just connecting with people?
Well, it always has been about connecting with people, right? And as media has changed, the one thing that hasn't changed is humans. So it's always been about connecting with people. I think that it's almost impossible to define now.
Yeah.
You look at what places like Mischief does or Uncommon or some of these other more dynamic agencies that don't say, well, we're just going to make an ad. And then you look at activity by these sort of renegade brands like Liquid Death, and they just, they're more like a TV studio or a movie studio or a sketch comedy troupe. So no, it's almost impossible to define. What it is art and creativity, problem solving with communication, with the ultimate eye on brand equity and brand success.
Well, there we go. That was a very good explanation. So we wanted to talk a little bit about agencies, advertising agencies. I know when I was a freshman, I had not a clue what went on inside an agency. And just like, oh, I knew there's like creative, but there's like also a strategy team, but I think that's all that I knew. So maybe let's talk about just the core of what like a typical agency is. I interned at Ogilvy this summer, which is a advertising agency. They have a bunch of different locations, but I kind of got a view of what that is, and I would just describe it as there's so many different departments. There is strategy, there's PR, there was media and media planning, there's new business, and all the different creatives, and then there was social teams, and they had their own little sectors, and there was influencer, which was really cool to work with now that's a new part of an agency. But they all kind of work together, I would say, and it starts with we all have a client. For example, Coca-Cola, they have their team in their office, and then they talk to the account managers who are kind of the liaison between the client and then the whole entire team. And they kind of just keep everything wrapped up, and it goes to the strategy develops. Well, what does the client want? What are their needs? What's like the consumer problem, or they might have to figure it out. And this could go on forever. Then you have the creative brief, and then it goes to creatives, and it all is dependent on each agency. I think I only got a little glimpse of it. I think, Joe, you could talk about maybe what was different between different agencies and just maybe a little overview of what you would say in advertising agencies.
Exactly. And you got experience at one of the great legacy shops, and they certainly have probably more process and structure than a lot of others. At the end of the day, the metaphor that I always use, and it gets more apt every week, advertising is a circus tent. And we've got all these different performers that have different skills, and they can do their thing. So you're sitting there watching the circus, and the lion tamer's doing its thing over there, and the clowns are over there, and there's the aerialist up top. And that's just like the agency. But they also come together for grand finales and big things. So there's this great give and take, and there's wildly different skill sets, but they're all about dazzling an audience of some sort. Mm-hmm. So depending on the size of the agency, its age, its adherence to classic structure, it's the same thing where you have to onboard clients somehow. Mm-hmm. So you've got new business people and whatnot. You've also have the reputation of the agency that helps drive that. And then once they're on board, you have to have needs assessment. You have to develop strategic plans and whatnot. And that's where you have account management, and you have strategy, and you have research all coming together. Mm-hmm. And then you've got the creative pool, whatever that might be. And I'd spent most of my career as a freelancer, so I would be brought in and brought out to either become the creative team or to help augment the creative team that was already there. So you get those people making the stuff. And of course, you can't just make things and have them sit there. Then we have the media people. And then now there's a whole layer of the data side and the digital side of things. So whether it's the social side or it's looking at the back end of all the digital activity you have, and do you outsource or do you not? But really, at the end of the day, it's someone has to onboard the client, figure out the need, figure out the creativity involved with solving that problem, putting that message out there in the world, and then measuring success. Mm-hmm. And then lather, rinse, and repeat over and over again. So again, large or small, all those functions have to happen. What you call the department, whether they're in-house, whether you use the Hollywood model where you just have a central core of producers that hire people on the side, or you're like in Ogilvy that pull people internationally to solve problems. Mm-hmm. But that's it. It's the classic circus tent, and it's wild, and that's the best part of it.
Yeah. It was cool to see like so many people, when you're in school, you work on group projects with a couple people, and then sometimes it gets hard when there's like more than 5 people because one guy slacks off. But like when you're in an agency, like you're getting paid. Like all these people are getting paid, so they're all gonna contribute. Of course, you'll have people that you don't like working with, but like everyone is working hard for one goal, and it's cool just to see all the little pieces come in to the big picture from all across the entire agency. So
That's right. And listen, that's a great example, especially for students listening. We torture you guys with group projects, and we do it under the umbrella or the excuse of this is how the real world works. But that comes with a big asterisk, because in the real world, everybody is trying to pay rent and they like their job and they've been hired. The frustrations that you guys feel as a student in group projects, some of that is there, but most of it isn't, because usually everybody is committed and has been vetted and has the skill set needed. And at the end of the day, we're going to get the job done for the client. Where if you're bopping along doing something in a class here, you will have at least one piece of deadwood on every team.
Yeah, that's hard. Hate when that happens.
Dave, we're looking at you. Not to name names.
All right, so we kind of covered what roles there are within an agency, but what do you guys know what you want to do after grad? Like, do you have like, oh, I want to be a copywriter, I want to be account management?
Me, yeah, honestly, with all the classes and stuff, I really learned how much I like the idea of the branding side. I think being a brand manager, would be like very cool, because I'm just like fascinated by like how each brand, I don't even know how to describe it. Each brand has its own brand. It's a poor way to word it, but I'm just really fascinated by that, how each brand has a reputation and like its own thing and has to follow like a certain box that it's made for itself. I like that a lot. I definitely learned in Joe's classes that I should lean towards copywriting, because ain't no way am I an artist at all. But yeah, so those two, copywriting and branding, I would love. I would love to work in the city. So if any people looking for internships in the city, hey, how you doing?
Quick plug.
For me, I guess I want to work more of like the technological side, I guess. I'm not really sure exactly still. I mean, there's still so many opportunities. Don't even know really exactly what area I want to go into, but definitely whatever opportunity comes to me or whatever looks appealing, I'll definitely try and go for it. So.
And that's the motive we like.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, I would just say you'll probably hear all these like main jobs, like your, of course, copywriter, art director, strategist, and all that jazz. But like, there's truly a million different jobs you can land in advertising. Like, we had consulting interns and like finance interns, and I feel like some people at Kelly, shout out our Kelly people in Ad Club, just understand that those roles do exist in the advertising world, and to look in those directions, because I feel like not a lot of people, they'll look at like your top 5, like Deloitte and like all those other companies, and those are really great companies, but also there's a whole different world within advertising. And if you hear those like common job titles, like what I said earlier, just know that those are just the common ones, and that there are other areas that you can explore. It's not just defined to these like listed off positions. But for that tangent, I don't know what I want to do.
Yeah, I was going to ask what's your plan.
I think I've worked a lot with like social media and stuff, and I think that I would love to go that route and like still be a creative, but I'm also leaning towards not like using my creativity in different ways that's not like physical. So we'll figure that out. We're still working on it.
You got that, girl.
You got plenty of time.
Yes.
And I think, too, an important thing to think about is, well, it's helpful to have industry labels and helpful to have job titles and majors and courses. They're nice guiding principles, but at the end of the day, you have to stop and think about yourself and your strengths as an individual. And you can't follow your dreams, because that's how you starve. What you have to do is you have to figure out, what are you good at? What is a marketable skill? And then start to look for where that might be. So we, as an ad program, we think a lot about agency life first. But, this is the whole world of in-house and at brand.
Yeah.
And that has exploded. And, one of the smartest places doing work right now is called Kitchen, which is the Heinz in-house agency. When I was your age and we were looking at ad work, no one wanted to go in-house. But now you got people like Yeti, doing fantastic stuff and IKEA in-house. So don't think industry, don't think job title, think what's your skill set. And then also too, you have to be careful because when you say, I want to work in social media, that itself is a huge, well, what do you want to do? Do you want to be on the creative side? Do you want to be on the strategy? You want to look at the numbers pouring out of that and develop, data analytics from, so there's a whole different, so you have to think about what you're good at, think about what you're interested in, think about who's going to pay for that, and make sure you're clear enough. I was talking to someone not that long ago. They said, I want to go into digital marketing. And you want to talk about a catch-all, right? So think about your skill sets and what you can offer. Make sure you're doing things on a regular basis that demonstrate those skills so that you have not a capital P portfolio, but a portfolio of work. When someone sits down and says, well, what have you done? Oh, great. You want to do social media, you want to do data analytics, show me.
Yeah.
Show me what you got.
Is that on here? Are you showing me that? Yeah, so here at the media school, the advertising, we have 2 concentrations still, right? It's creative and planning. I feel like, especially in the beginning, I was a little confused on which one I should pick. Like, will I regret picking one over the other? But Joe was talking about how he has a class that kind of helps you figure that out. Do you want to explain what that class is?
Absolutely. And Alyssa, if you don't go through college with some regret, right? That's what college is all about.
Right,
collecting regrets, right? No, so, our ad program isn't that old, so it's evolving. We're in version 2.0 right now, and we've introduced a class after the intro level to help students. So intro is you get in there, and some students take it just because they're ad curious or they're looking for a gen ed or whatever. And so that's great. But then the ones that we really, excite their curiosity, they start to think, well, where do I fit in this larger circus tent? So we've created a class to help do that, where we spend about 2 or 3 weeks working through all the different parts of advertising. So from research and discovery to strategy development. In this class, we're about to enter the creative part of it to help people realize, do I have what it takes to be a copywriter or an art director? And then eventually we'll move to media and some of the other parts of the puzzle. So we knew it was an important need because, just like I was saying before, social media is this big brush that we paint things with. So is advertising. And we would be doing a disservice to our students if we just threw you to the wolves like we did with your group and said, figure it out. But now we're taking a much more deliberate approach to the point where I'll get to the end of a chunk of the class and I'll say, if this is curious to you, if you like this, here's the class that builds that out. That skill set gets developed further. And if you really like this part, go over here and look at this. So it's a much more deliberate guidance through the advertising world.
That's great. I wish I had that class. But I'm glad there is a class like that now. So recommend taking it. What is it called?
It's called Foundations of Advertising. It's A250. It is now, if you're a media school student and you did Ad Lab, it substitutes for Ad Lab. I mean, for Story Lab, it substitutes for Story Lab because we weren't confident that Story Lab was meeting the needs of ad students.
Yeah.
We had to find 3 credits somewhere because we didn't want to pile on and make students take yet another class. So we swapped out Foundations for Story Lab.
Oh yeah, that's great. Loved Story Lab, but I didn't really like doing everything else that was advertising. I think advertising was our last project, and I was like, finally.
I remember doing journalism. I was like, journalism.
Yeah.
Story Lab is great because it does unite everybody inside the media school. And what do we all do? Whether it's journalism or PR or film, we all tell stories. So that was the guiding principle.
Yeah.
But in practice, sometimes principle and practice don't line up.
Yeah. All right. Going into segment 2, we're going to talk about branding.
Woo!
Jenny, your favorite.
Oh, yeah.
So, Jenny, do you want to explain this one?
Yeah, sure. So, personal brand, I kind of went into it before when talking about, what I wanted to do and stuff. Personal brand is basically just a reputation. The way I would describe a reputation one company has. It's kind of a box that they have to fit everything in. And going outside of that image kind of, just goes against their brand. I don't really, Joe, do you want to help me out here and like explain it in a better way?
If there's a principle that gets overcomplicated by people who make money as consultants, it's the concept of brand. Brand is really just reputation or fame.
There you go.
Right? And how do you collect a reputation? And brands and companies exist just like people. We do it through action, repeated action that delivers on a promise that we make. So it's as simple as that. So it's what you say, it's what you do, it's what you wear, it's how you make your choices. That's the power of branding. That's how you develop your personal brand or your capital B brand.
There we go. And one of the brands who does this the best is Nike. You know them, you love them. So we have an ad here that we wanted to watch.
Yep.
Okay, let's watch it.
Build a website you love with Wix.
I just love the ad before
Were your
the ad.
words?
Yeah, classic.
And this one is for everyone who ran the marathon yesterday. Hope you're doing okay out there.
I love that one.
That's such a good ad. What was the next one is the question.
Yeah, so Nike just has such a variety, but they always just come back to being relatable and to like the whole winning isn't comfortable. Like if you want to achieve this like greatness, they're like, you know, that lifestyle mantra, then it's going to be uncomfortable. And I feel like that's always like a pain point that they're always trying to hit. And yeah.
Yeah, it's like work hard for what you do and we can help you work hard so you can achieve your goals. It's kind of like what they usually go for. But yeah, I love me some Nike.
What I love about that one is Nike's coming out of the Paris Olympics, and it was a lot of sort of alpha dog, I'm going to step on your throat messaging. And it slightly moved them away from their sort of their central principle, which, you know, when they first started, they used to say, if you have a body, you're an athlete, which is very different than that alpha dog step on your throat. Add to that what's going around in the running shoe category, where Hoka takes over, and then On Running starts to, and so all of a sudden Nike is starting to lose share, and then also among marathoners specifically, Brooks and some other Asics and some other brands have a better reputation. So Nike, yes, so they have a little corner of that hyper elite athlete, but if they're looking for the people who on Monday morning after that Sunday marathon walk downstairs like that, this is an anthem and a love letter to them.
Yes.
And it's softened and humanized. Winning isn't comfortable for a broader audience. So, and I love that one, and because it's built on that deep Monday morning insight of someone who has run a marathon, and I've done 4.
Oh, wow.
3 of them sub 4.
Whoa.
So,
Hey, come on.
Hey!
it's not even a humble brag. This
What
is a
shoe
brag
were you
brag.
wearing?
This is a brag. So 341 Philadelphia. But it's that, and you know, I love celebrating this in classes and with students because it's built on, you know, is it a deep insight or an observation? Who cares? Or talk about people arguing about brand. Insight versus observation gets argued. It doesn't matter. It's something that's going to resonate with the audience. And it's just like, that you see yourself there, you know, so that in the future, if you're considering, do I buy another Brooks Adrenaline or do I see what Nike has going on? Maybe you're going to consider Nike that you wouldn't before. So that's just, and you add the music, you add the casting, you know, you cut back to the cabbie, listening to the music. So it all, and, you know, on top of it all, the narrative is beautiful. You know, it's Wieden Kennedy.
Yeah.
You know, Wieden Kennedy is as predictable as the tides.
I feel like throughout my time here, I've always heard professors say, like, meet your audience where they are. And I feel like this was a good example of that. And I think they kind of expanded this campaign because I think they were all over the New York Marathon last year and literally, like, followed the whole entire, like, route that the marathon runners ran and just ran a ton of Nike ads. And it's like, that's perfect because they're that's where they are. You're
Literally.
literally meeting them where they are.
Absolutely. You don't have to be the world's best media planner to figure out, here's thousands, and I've done New York too, sub 4, thank you. And it's a great setting. Cliff Bar did a fantastic New York-based, marathon-based campaign as well. So absolutely, why would you not? And that's, as we were talking earlier, how has advertising changed? It's that identification of events and moments because no one's watching TV.
Yeah.
We spent a lot of money to skip the ads. We love that button on the YouTube where we've already hit skip ad in an ad podcast. That should not be allowed, right? So you have to figure out where are these people, where are our audience, and then you can't just stand in front of them. Like you were saying, Alyssa, it has to be something that's going to resonate with your people in the moment.
Yeah. So there was our good example of a brand. So next we have what makes a good ad and a bad ad. I would say recently a bad ad that I saw, it was like some nationwide Super Bowl commercial, and I feel like you'll probably know what this was. It went through like these little kids' lives, and then it like cut at like the climax. It was like, but Johnny never got to grow up. And then it showed like flash scenes of like a knocked over dresser or like a full tub, like saying they like died. And then it's like nationwide will be here for you, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like,
It's always the car insurance ones, I'm telling you.
Yes. And it's like, that's not what your brand is there to do. You're there to help like with after the fact, but that having nationwide isn't going to stop your child from dying. So I think they just missed the mark on that one.
Yeah, I'd go along with that. Matching the brief. If you match the brief in a way that resonates with your audience, I'd call it a good ad. Bad ad is if you don't, you go against your brand image. A lot of ads that we looked at in the first podcast episode for this season were bad ads, so you can look at those for examples. But yeah, I'd personally go with like match the brief, match who you are, go with your personal brand, and that kind of determines good or bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How would you describe it, Joe?
80% of ads are bad.
Ooh.
10% make you want to gouge your eyes out. And then there's the top 10% that we aspire to and we work towards.
My milkshake bins are the best.
There we go. Yes.
Gap that was a great. You guys said that was
one.
fantastic. And it was a great. You had a nice comparison too between the American Eagle stuff, which is garbage because it was based on wordplay. It was misdirected audience connection because it was a male for men, but it's women's jeans.
Yeah.
So that was a total soup sandwich as well. Good ads have at the most basic level because so much of it is subjective. Ads have to help differentiate a brand, and they have to do it in a way that's distinctive. So how are you different from your competition? And then what are those elements, those brand elements that make the audience understand this is exactly, we know who this is. So one of my favorite brands to kick when they're down is Liberty Mutual. And Doug and the Emu, and I'll go off on a rant in front of 150 students because it's distinctive. We know Doug, we know the Emu, we know Yellow, but it doesn't differentiate. And they spend a ton of money advertising. The top 10 advertisers in terms of dollars spent, 5 of them are insurance companies because they don't differentiate, because they don't make good ads. That's what a good ad does. A good ad will do both, will differentiate and be distinctive. And then add into the layers of a good ad is going to have something that's resonant with humans. It's not going to be built on wordplay. It's not going to be built on technical effects. It's going to actually touch people. And that's the important. So again, most of them are not good. And we recognize that because it's so hard to get anything made. When you think you reached the finish line, here comes legal, right? And so the legal department. So it's an uphill climb, and anyone who gets an ad out there in the world, hats off to them because it's not easy. But if you do land that top 10%, those are the gods of the industry. And half of it is talent, half of it is just fate and kismet, and the third half is magic.
Magic.
Yeah.
A little bit of magic in there. I think those are some really good points. And even just like thinking about that when you're making campaigns here at the media school, like, yeah, you can like go with what seems right and like, but are you like really thinking, how is this different from everything else? And I think we could all just think a little harder. I don't know.
Well, I tell you what, though, listen, it's different for students.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an important thing, I think, everyone, especially if you get to portfolio, 1 and 2 with the faculty there. Your ad is an ad for you. It's not so much an ad for the actual brand that you're working on. And all the student portfolios are getting put in front of recruiters. So that's a chance where you can start to break some rules, do things that are really different, and maybe won't pass in the real world, we'll say, quote unquote, pass legal, pass the brand police. Do something that's going to be remarkable and stand out. Don't demonstrate to the recruiters that you have no concept of what passes. Don't put a naked person in your ad. But don't play it safe. And as we work on stuff, especially in the creative class, if you have an idea and it doesn't make you nervous, you probably don't have a strong enough idea to survive. So student work, push the limits, do something inappropriate. Hopefully there'll be people in your corner that can say, turn it down from 11. Let's get this down to an 8 or 9. But you don't filter your ideas thinking there's no way this would play during Sunday morning football on CBS, because that your bar and the limitations are less, and you should lean into that.
Yeah, I think going off of that one brand that really stuck out to me was for the kind of going outside of the box and stuff, IKEA with the You Up campaign. So we can click on that. Could we use this example to kind of explain like what a brief is? Like, how would we explain how this is a good ad and how it met the brief?
I don't know if this had a brief.
Really?
You can't always wait for the brief. And when you do get a brief, you have to make the brief your bitch. and squeeze it for what have you. But a lot of times, especially if it's got a social element, it just comes from an observation, whether it's a creative or a strategist, and says, you know what would be interesting? So what happens with this, and Gabby, why don't you play it and then we'll have some context for what it is.
Can you go to, quick pause, go to YouTube. Ads on Air is in the case study for this.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was so cool.
Yeah.
I remember
really,
getting that text.
My face is in the corner for a second. I'm not saying anything, but I'm in it. I be showing everyone
That's
that.
all you, girl. You're famous.
Just research something You Up.
Yeah, IKEA You Up case study. And it was played at Cannes.
Ooh.
No one in the crowd knew it was me, but
people know IKEA for its.
You were in the crowd.
I was there spiritually.
Oh, yeah.
Meatballs and for Billy bookcases, but for mattresses, not so much. In North America, basically nobody knows we sell mattresses. So to remind people that you can get a great sleep on an IKEA mattress, we needed to target people who couldn't sleep. But we couldn't just make another ad. So in the middle of the night, we slid into their DMs with just 2 words.
You up text.
It's when someone texts you late at night and they looking for the goods.
They want to sleep with you.
You up text, and that's kind of like the booty call.
It means sexy time.
IKEA just slid into people's DMs in the middle of the night and their stores got flooded with customers.
It was a stampede.
Users who responded to the message were given discounts on an IKEA mattress.
Like, imagine getting that from IKEA.
That's so smart. Super smart.
I love this.
Yeah.
This is a brand that knows how to be discerningly cheeky.
So cheeky. We even sent you up messages in real life by putting billboards next to apartments in the middle of the night. We slid into DMs all over the world, from Canada to Norway to Poland.
IKEA is not just selling a mattress here, they're also connecting their brand to a real everyday problem.
IKEA reached out to the customers. That's next level, and it builds connection.
Very, very connected. Then something crazy happened. We started the first ever mattress war.
And now we have the mattress wars.
I love this.
The number 1 mattress seller wrote back. Then the number 2 mattress store wrote back. And then a condom brand? Ugh. But we didn't reply. We were too busy selling mattresses to people who didn't know we sold mattresses. Advertising works. Go to sleep.
He's right. Advertising does work. I had no clue that IKEA sold mattresses and before this ad either, so worked.
I would
It's
have
great,
loved to
yeah.
receive the U Up text from IKEA.
You know, think about how many things are going right for IKEA in this, right? So they have that idea of, well, we're trying to sell mattresses, right? So now all we do in advertising is we dramatize or demonstrate a promise, right? We make it interesting for an audience. We got to sell mattresses. How do you, well, who is thinking about their mattress? How about somebody laying on it, right? There's that great insight. And then they started to put the pieces together. So was there a brief? Maybe, maybe not. But a lot of times too, and here's a great lesson for everybody. Don't wait for the brief. If you're walking around, you got an idea that just kind of tickles you. So, oh, interesting. Interesting. You know, so that's like latch onto that stuff. I had a thought the other day, and believe it or not, I was at upstairs, the pub here in town, and it was really loud, and I was trying to get my credit card back. So I'm trying to tell the bartender that I'm going to close out my tab, and my last name is Glennon. And I thought, wow, she can't hear me. I can't. There's an opportunity there. I don't know what the Venn diagram is, but, you know, and don't steal my idea because I'm going to put this together and go to Cannes myself. Imagine a promotion of some sort, a PR activity between American Sign Language and, right? Because then I could sign whatever the sign is for GLE. And so the bartender can say, oh, yeah. So is it Michelob Ultra? Is it Amstel?
Yeah.
Is it? So you have to look for that intersection, that who's got a brand promise about connecting with people, who wants to partnership with, group connected to the hearing impaired. So now we've got, there's no brief.
Yeah.
But now I'm off to the races.
Yeah, it's just being in real life makes you think of that stuff. And
Well, that's it. Yeah, and that's it. You got to get out. You have to think, and you have to say, well, what if is your two, right? I always say the two most important words in advertising are "so that," because it gets you from feature to benefit. The best tool for ad students is, hey, what if? And then you have to finish it. You can't leave it there. So I'm putting this on the record. I have this idea for the sign language. If I don't deliver something by March, you guys come find me and tell me that I'm a hypocrite.
I hope someone doesn't steal that idea because that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
You better develop it quick, Joe. Someone's.
All right, I gotta go.
All
This has
right,
been fun.
right now, do it right now. But no, your notes app is your friend. Your ideas.
Yeah, notes app, screenshots. Yeah. Oh
Yes.
gosh, yeah. If you don't have a swipe file and a notes file, what are you really doing?
Yeah, diary, journal.
You best believe I live in my notes app.
Yes. All right. Well, we love that IKEA You Up ad. Okay, so another good ad is from British Airways. Do we want to watch that one?
This season on Fansville by Dr. Pepper.
Yes, college football is back.
Our lives finally have meaning again.
After a really long offseason.
Look, our QB's on the draft slide. Look! Oh, he's going. Where? Not where he expected.
Everything will be questioned.
What is this place?
Why aren't they watching college football?
Pepper will be spilled.
You have a side team? No.
And flags will be thrown.
Let's look.
We got multiple punctures.
Evidence suggests a crime of passion.
Into the ground.
Hold on to your Dr. Pepper. It appears we have a flag planting.
Those tech fans make me sick.
We got a composite.
Is that a duck with ice cold, Dr. Pepper?
That's a platypus.
And while the game keeps evolving,
College football is changing.
The Dr. Pepper flavors too.
It's all connected.
our fanhood carries on.
Bring out the hot seat! Cue the billboard.
Fansville Season 8. Are you fan enough?
I don't think I've ever seen someone slide so far.
College football. It's a Pepper thing.
Yeah, no, I meant to say Dr. Pepper.
Okay. Well, that was also a good ad. Love
Yeah.
Dr. Pepper, targeting football fans, obviously. But if they put a lot of like funny little relatable things in there and like kind of amped them up, I think that was funny.
That was great. And it's been running for 8 years. And if you have any question that does advertising work, ask Pepsi, who's now number 4, looking up at Dr. Pepper, because they've consistently had Fansville. They've put this in front of consumers for 8 football seasons. It's consistent. It's funny. Are they trying to sell a complicated product? No. They're just trying to tickle people. So when you get to that decision point, what am I going to drink? You know, Dr. Pepper has lapped Pepsi.
Yeah. And would recommend everyone listening to really look into that because it is interesting and shows how things can go wrong if you're not also just watching your competition but getting too comfortable, I feel like.
Yeah, and you have to advertise. There's a direct link, and the researchers listening can tell us, but there's a direct link between share of voice and market share. And Mark Ritson, who's a great marketing consultant professor, if you Google Mark Ritson and share of voice, you'll see exactly if brands that go quiet fail.
Yeah.
And Pepsi has been quiet for too long. They're coming back now, which is great, where they're doing this whole thing with Pepsi belongs with food, and they've got the people in the blue jumpsuits, and they're trying.
Yeah.
But it may be too little too late.
Yeah. The taste will only get them so far. All right. Can we scroll down a bit? All right. So now that we've kind of covered like advertising, branding, and strategy, we want to get more into just your career and what you should be doing here at the media school. And one of those big things that your professors will try to drill into you is networking. Because
network.
Yes. You may think that, I mean, I think I'm great, but no one knows that if I don't talk to anyone. So you really gotta have to be able to sell yourself before people will believe that you can sell their brands and their clients. So I think it is so important starting even as a freshman. It might catch up to you if you wait until you're a senior to not talk to anyone in the industry and make those connections, because those are ultimately the people who will help you get a job and get you where you want to be. And where do you guys find your tactics in networking?
For me, honestly, it just kind of like depends on the event, but honestly, I just go up to someone and I'm just like, hey, like if we're at the same event, we should probably talk. Well, I don't say that, but like I'm just like
I should
trying
talk
to get to know
you.
Yeah, like I'm just gonna talk to you. Like I think when I met someone in iClub, like Allie or something, or anyone, like even you, I was just like, hey, like you're like in advertising, I was in advertising too, like
we have that connection.
Like
let's have a convo.
I just try to find something like common ground and then just go off of that.
Yeah, I think that's good.
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of like networking is such like a harsh word, because when like most people think network, it's like, business. Oh my God. It doesn't really have to be like that. It can definitely. Like you should always maintain a professionalism in your work and stuff like that. But it can be casual. It's not like this whole like big stigma. Like you don't have to like fully put on an act. Like be yourself, relax. It's like keep it casual to the point where it's still professional is my biggest advice for networking. And just overall be authentic. Don't put on a mask. And then that's gonna show, like that's gonna get you the real connections that you're looking for.
Yeah, I would say it's very nerve-wracking at first, like especially going like to career fairs. The media school hosts like a career day, which is a really good opportunity. But just getting over those nerves and gaining your confidence really comes with practice. And I think just go to everything that you see you can go on Handshake, see what events are held there, like check the media school newsletter. Also, Ad Club industry speakers, reach out to them on LinkedIn. Make sure your LinkedIn is built and ready to go. And really, I just think that to be in this industry, people want to hire people they want to work with. And at the end of the day, you got to be able to connect with this person for however long interview it is. And you're not going to be able to do that if you don't practice. So that's really what my 2 cents is on it, is just getting comfortable with talking to people. So.
Remember that every student has a superpower. If I network and work really hard and shake the trees and reach out to people, the first thought they have is, boy, this is a desperate old guy trying to salvage a career. Everybody who's got a heart and a soul remembers when they were a student or somebody trying to break in, and they're going to give a student, at the very least, the benefit of the doubt. But more often than not, they're going to help them in some way, shape, or form that they can. So use that superpower while you have it.
Yes.
You know, yeah, absolutely. If there's a guest that comes in and says, they always say, you know, connect with me on LinkedIn. If you don't do that, shame on you. If you're listening to any type of podcast or media, Gino's Breaking and Entering is a fantastic. A guest on there says, reach out, connect. Do it. And you're not looking for a roommate or someone to go to spring break with. You're just trying to make that connection, because in another month or 2 months or a year, there's going to be someone looking at the Venn diagram of their lives to say, where did I intersect with this person?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's just a friend of a friend of a friend. There's this whole concept of loose connections. We're not trying to find a mate. We're just trying to connect with the world, because as big as the industry is, it gets really small really fast. Once you say, oh, I know this person, they may be able to vouch for this other person.
Yeah.
So that's it. So lean into it now. And it works in all sorts of parts. So if you're doing a class project and you're trying to do some research, email somebody. Cold email as a student with the .edu email address is gold.
Yeah.
Because you get on the outside and forget it. The wall goes up and you're done.
Yes. I think we really have an advantage because people see students as they're trying, and you want to help out students, but like once we kind of graduate, it's like, oh, you should be able to handle on your own.
You become a professional threat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so take advantage of those opportunities. Show up to Ad Club stuff, our speaker events, watch the podcast. I mean, you are watching the podcast right now.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But yeah, so going off into another direction, portfolios. You're not a are you creative? Okay, so I'm in portfolio 1 right now with Bill Schwab, and it's hard. And I built a portfolio before this class, which was all on my own. And most of the time, you won't take portfolio until senior year. And I think you should build one beforehand, because you have other classes that you make content for, and you are building campaigns, and no one's going to know that you did that if you don't put it out somewhere. So even if you have no idea what you're doing, you haven't taken portfolio yet, the class, just look at other student portfolio. Like Miami Ad School is a great school. There's a whole bunch of other ones. There's in the resources section in the GroupMe, there is a good list of portfolios in there. So really just getting inspo from other people, and, recruiters, when they're looking through your portfolio, they're just like scrolling like this. You may think like I put all this time and work into it, but again, it's like an ad. Like people aren't going to pay as much attention to it as you would. So it's also important to keep it concise, but also show who you are and what you can do.
Right. And if you're waiting for a portfolio to put work together, it's almost too late, because you can only do so much in 15 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're structured, if you take 251, the creative class, we don't finish things there. We don't make them portfolio ready, but you have a head start.
Mm-hmm.
The rest falls on your shoulders to deal with that before portfolio 1 and 2. And of course, creative is, people think, well, that's where the portfolio is. If you're on the management side, you can develop a portfolio as well.
Yeah.
And that becomes just, how do you showcase your thinking, how your identification of a problem, your suggestion of a solution, and how you might see those results come out. So, again, if you're creative, absolutely you need a capital P portfolio, but any other ad person needs to have a body of evidence that is easy to share with recruiters to say, this is what I'm capable of.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah, so really just kind of segueing off of that, it's really important to be well-rounded, and I think this could mean so many different things. Like, I really recommend getting involved on campus.
I fully agree.
Whatever it may be, even if you're getting a job at, not even just on campus, but doing something. Getting a job at Mother Bears is, better for your communication skills than just sitting at home and scrolling on Reels. like it doesn't even have to be like advertising related, because I think that also it is good to immerse yourself in advertising, yes, but also the advertising industry needs people from all different backgrounds with all different interests, and because you build a different perspective once you start to have interest in different things. So I don't know what those different areas that you could explore, but it's really, there's so many opportunities here at IU, like different clubs and different jobs you could look for, but really just immerse yourself into the life here and learn from those experiences that you could potentially be in.
Yeah, I'd go off of that. Like, the things that you're involved in and, like, stuff, show who you are on, like, your resume and something. So, like, say that you're an ad club and you're also involved in, like, marketing, but then you're like, oh, you're in an art club? Ooh, okay. You play guitar? Whoa! Like, stuff like that. It just kind of shows that you have passions and stuff, like, what kind of areas you're better at, what skills you have. So definitely take advantage of whatever we have here. Like you said, there are so many opportunities. There's a club for almost anything. And you can start a club if you're passionate about something, but having that experience of other things besides, like, your grades overall makes, like, somewhat gets you the job, I would argue, to some extent.
Do you know there's a lettuce eating club? They meet like once a semester.
Like I just
and they
said.
all bring like a head of lettuce, and they race to see who can eat it faster.
Wait, are you
I don't know if this would really.
real?
Yes, I don't know if this would really help your experience, but
hey,
I think it would.
lettuce.
No, if I was a recruiter and I sat down with a student who had, decent other stuff, and they were maybe not like a lettuce eater, but maybe there's someone who founded it and helped support it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
I'm so curious
there's
about that now.
there's a concept that every viewer or listener should Google. It's the idea of identity capital. And I talk about it in a freshman seminar, and because you have to start building it early, because it takes a while to build it. And sometimes you start as a member of a club, and then you get really club curious, and then become leadership, and so on. But then there's also other things that tie into that. So Google identity capital, and that's a great way to sort of make yourself more valuable to whoever you may want to work with or work for.
Yeah.
And the other guiding principle ties all the way back to brand building. It's Nike or it's Joe Glennon. It's what you do when no one tells you what to do that shows the world who you are. That's the ultimate guiding principle. Don't tell me you're a comedian. Make me laugh. Don't tell me you're curious, hardworking. Don't tell me you love animals. Don't tell me that you're going to. That's the important stuff. So absolutely, the death of all of us is we get scoliosis and we just flip on our phone all day. You can't do that. Or you have to do it. And I'm not saying you have to become, a monk and throw your phone into the river, but you have to, if you want to be interesting and dynamic, you gotta walk the walk. So that's ultimate. But again, identity capital. It's at the end of the day, who are you? And don't just tell me. Make me laugh. Don't tell me you're a comedian. Make me laugh. Don't tell me you're an interesting. And then for a while, recruiters would talk about people who would be a good culture fit for an agency, and they've thrown out that concept because that's how you get a homogeneous agency full of a bunch of old white guys. Yeah. The idea now that drives the interesting places is culture add. What do you bring that makes you different? So if you are in a band, if you're a stand-up comedian, if you're a quilter, if whatever it is, that's the stuff. So, and you develop culture add by developing your identity capital by doing stuff.
Yes.
So, and is anyone listening? No one's listening. Your grades only get you so far, and I hate to say it, but as someone who used to hire writers, I would be hesitant to hire a writer with a 4.0. Because if you want to be a good writer, you got to take your lumps. And that means you miss a class, or you drop the ball in an assignment, or you took a class that was a stretch for you, or what have you. So listen, if you're driven by that, and that's fantastic, and if you want to do graduate school or things like that, yeah, your grades matter. But especially if you're trying to get into advertising, we love misfits and freaks and people who have taken their lumps, because that's how you show that you've lived life.
Yes, I agree. Fully agree with that. And it's really important, I think, from what you said about the culture, like how can you add, especially when you're in these interviews, like what can I personally bring to your business to make it better? Because if it's all about what can I do to fit in, then you're not really standing out.
Right. Yeah. Oh, we already got one of those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So I think we're reaching the end here. We discussed our future plans. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm figuring it out. But just kind of like maybe some takeaways, what like your favorite thing that you learned from this episode from Joe, Gabby?
Oh, okay. Honestly, what like stood out for me the most is what you said is just like how you like represent yourself. Like you're just making yourself, you're your own brand, and you want to sell yourself to like someone you want to work for. You just have to like really show that you're different than other people, and not, as what Alyssa said, not just fitting in, but also just making yourself different. And I feel like that is like a big part of just like not even just stuff now, but also a future thing. So I feel like that'll be very helpful.
Yeah, going off of that, I still love the personal brand part. I really like what you said about all of that. And what you said about like the brief and like how not every ad has a brief, but there's still like the creative drive, and then like just being real in the world and stuff is very crucial. That, and also like the parts about the agency, like giving the rundown of like there are so many different roles that you can have in the agency, and it's not like a set like this, or this is like just comforting to hear and very educational. So I really like that.
Yeah. My favorite thing was when Joe said, it's what you do when people aren't telling you what to do, what makes you yourself and your personal brand. That was my favorite. That was my favorite part.
That needs to be like on like what is it, like a TJ Maxx Home Goods sign?
Yes.
Something like that.
All right. So Joe, our last final bit here. Can you give us one piece of advice in 1 to 2 sentences?
I don't want to repeat, but really it's what you do when no one tells you what to do that shows the world who you are. So make sure you're having a rich experience. And again, you don't have to be splitting the atom. You know, one of the things that helped me as I was leaving school was I played rugby in college, and I was one of the leaders of that team, and we were a terrible team. We weren't good. But in conversations I had with recruiters, it was about hard work, teamwork, showing up, doing something that wasn't popular. It was a cultural thing, and then I had stories to tell from that. So maybe the final piece of advice would be, as you start to build your resumes, you start to round out the LinkedIn and build that identity capital, think of each line item as the first line of a story. And that story, the sort of the moral of it should be, this is the value that I bring to whatever that situation might be. Because we all buy things based on stories, right? There's a reason why the 10 Commandments aren't in every hotel room. It's the Bible, right? And the Bible is just a collection of stories, and everything is a story. You know, this whole building we're in is supported by story as the media school. So story's king, but you can't have stories if you don't live life and if you don't adapt that and then tell that story to the world.
Amazing piece of advice there, everyone. I hope you were listening. To our amazing guest, Joe Glennon, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Before you sign off, my parents trained me well. I brought a gift for you guys because I'm a guest, and guests always bring gifts. It's a fantastic work, and it sort of the title fits the advice that I've been giving you guys. And it's a lesson for life, so make sure, and there's a graphic design agency that puts this out. And it's just a lesson for all of us that at the end of the day, you know, you just got to do the effing work, whatever that work might be. For some of us, it's creative. For some of it's just, getting to the bottom of that stack. And everybody, clean out your inbox.
Oh, yeah.
When opportunity knocks, it will do it with an email. And if your inbox has 12,000 unread emails, you're not going to see that internship offer. You're not going to see that special guest on campus. You're not going to see that outreach from a faculty member that says, I think this opportunity is for you. So clean out. We all love texting. We all love Slack, whatever else we use. But at the end of the day, email is still king for opportunity.
Also a good piece of advice.
That's where I get most of my information.
Yes.
So.
Yeah.
When opportunity knocks, it will do it with an email.
All right. What a perfect ending. Check your email boxes. Thank you for joining us today. We have been Ads on Air, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.